What's going on, Gaming Nation? We are back with another episode presented to you by Fandoms Anonymous. We have a fantastic show lined up for you today. As we've seen recently, a movie was released called Ready Player One. It was released only a couple weeks ago, and so far the reviews have been pretty interesting. We're going to try to keep it as spoiler-free because not only do a few of our guest panelists and one of our actual panelists they've not seen it. So I want to keep it as spoiler-free as I can. We'll put a couple blanket statements out there. That way you guys, can go see it because we really want you to. But at the same time, we're going to be talking about a few things about the culture of what is presented in that movie. It represents for us as gamers and the gaming community and, of course, the gaming nation. So let's get that started right away. We're going to be introducing our core panelists today. Of course, my man Daryl's back. What's good, man?
What's up, man? Hey, let's do it.
All right, Dan, how you doing, brother?
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to Gaming Nation, and shout out to the guest panelists today. Let's get it.
And of course, we're going to go ahead and introduce our guest panelists. We have my man Spotty Butt. How you doing, sir?
Still spotty.
Still spotty. That's fantastic.
Still spotty.
He's joining us for another episode, and it's always good to see a recurring face from the Gaming Nation. And we got a new guest panelist today, my man Rob. How you doing, my friend?
Chilling, man. What's going on?
And a whole lot. So let's go ahead and get right into it. Cue that intro. All right. So, of course, today we are talking about Ready Player One. It's a movie that was just released recently that was co-produced and directed by none other than... Well, I know it's inspired by a lot of Steven Spielberg's works, but I don't have it in front of me, so I don't know if it was actually done by him. I know that the author of the Ready Player One books was actually co-writer of the screenplay, which kind of kicks the book was better crowd in the head because of the fact that he actually had his own creative mind in the screenplay itself. So it was nice to see that, and of course it's great to see when authors get into movies that they're actually part of as far as adaptations, because that actually shows that if they had any kind of what's the term I'm looking for here? Regrets. There we go. I regret not knowing that word. If they have any sort of regrets of something that they didn't include in the book or something they wanted to change from the book, they could in the film adaptation. Actually, another movie that we saw recently, what's his face? Stephen King, that guy. Yeah, I can't. I'm forgetting everybody's name this morning. So Stephen King actually jumped in on it and said that there were a few things that he was not happy with, and that he was glad to see that they changed. And actually, he had his own input in that, so that was awesome. So yeah, it was Steven Spielberg. Okay, so it wasn't just inspired by a lot of Steven Spielberg's works. He was actually involved in the making, which is awesome because he's an amazing director. Unless we forget the Indiana Jones latest movie, but we won't. So getting right into it, I'm gonna say
that movie never existed.
Yeah, no, we're not gonna talk about that. So I'm gonna say right off the bat, completely blanket statement about this movie. It was a phenomenal film. I personally give it a 9 out of 10. Dan, you said you gave it, what was that?
I gave it an A-, but I'm with you. I'm about right at 9 out of 10, just because there was a few minor things that could have been changed, but overall it was a great project.
I agree. I think personally it was a fantastic film. It had a lot of great action. It had a lot of interesting story. It had some amazing visuals. I mean, yeah, the whole thing was pretty well CG, but it's a game movie, really? Can you not? I mean, let's just not even get into that. But of course, the biggest draw for a lot of people was the amount of pop culture references that were all throughout the movie, and actually, that was what caused me to give it a 9 out of 10 because there were so many that it was actually jarring, and it left you trying to find every single one, and you can't because you can't pause a film in a theater unless you have controls and you're God, but that's not how that happened, and so it kind of detracted away from the whole and goodness of the movie. And that was just my personal opinion of it. Dan says see it in 3D. I personally don't think it was made for 3D, but it's interesting to see in 3D. It's just I wouldn't. But away from that, we're talking about the culture presented therein. and we've covered on a previous show about elements of the MMORPG world and how it can be addictive and immersive at the same time. But we've also talked in previous episodes about VR and about how VR and augmented reality are kind of the future of gaming as we've seen. So we're going to get some opinions on our panelists about what they think necessarily holds for what's shown in Ready Player One and how advancements in VR could lead to that kind of existence. Daryl, we'll start with you.
Well, like we were speaking about earlier, I had watched this anime called Sword Art Online. So, if it's that kind of aspect, it's kind of scary in a way, because if you've seen this anime, the creator of Sword Art Online, he had trapped everybody into the game, and if they die in the game, they'll die in real life. So, I mean, something like that seems like it will be fun, but at the same time, it seems a little dangerous. But, I mean, I would love to be, like, immersed in a world, just like, just actually playing the game. Mm-hmm. Like, VR now, it seems like it's there, but it's not really there. Because I played a couple of VR titles, and it just, I don't know, it's kind of clunky. Like, you can't get the gun right. You can't get your ammo right. So I like the idea, but, if it does get too advanced, what kind of damage could they cause in the future? So it's kind of scary to me.
Okay. I mean, I could definitely see that. I think that a lot of the danger in it actually would probably come from what, we in the MMO community happen to know as, I really need to get up and get some food. I'm just being real there. Because, if you get immersed in that particular thing, if you sit there and you play all day, how long and until you finally realize, oh, hey, I should probably get some food. Unfortunately, in Ready Player One, they actually kind of demonstrated a different level of that, which was actually kind of not necessarily a fully immersive dive. They could actually, they knew what was going on in the real world. They could still hear everything that was going on. They were a little bit more aware of their surroundings, so that was nice. Sword Art Online did something completely different, and of course, if you've seen the anime, you know what I'm talking about. But I won't go too far into that. Dan, what do you feel, man?
Oh man, just watching it and the fact that they put this in the year 2045, it makes so much sense because here in Iowa, we actually have a VR arcade where it's like really expensive headsets and the hand sticks, everything. And I'll tell you, man, they're making some strides. There are a few shooter games that they have. Their problem is they don't have a lot of great titles, like some super big names, because no one's really making like huge titles for it right now. But the games that they have, the shooters are getting better, and it's starting to kind of put itself together. And in a good like 20, 30 years, I could totally see something happening within the sense of at least us putting on VR headsets and it looking as real as possible. I mean, we even got the VR headsets for our phone these days, can make it look like you're in the air, and it's nothing too crazy yet, but like 20, 30 years out, I honestly think that we will have the technology to give us something like that. I don't know if we'll be able to like fully be immersed within the fact of like we're stuck, but like you said, Clay, if you're in this world and it's cool, some people aren't gonna know when to just hit the off button. They're gonna be sitting there all day. So yes, but another fact with the movie though is everything was kind of going to crap within the world, within like the government and the whole society was going to crap on the movie, and people were using this as their escape. So I think that was kind of that was actually showed something within, people do use games to escape sometimes, escape their real world, like we all do with certain things. Man, I want to get on there. I don't want to deal with that today. I'm gonna go play my game. Like, so I totally understood that, but we have to have a balanced scale, or there can be a problem.
And I absolutely agree. We're going to get some information here from our guest panelists. We'll start with Spotty Butt, our returning guest. Spotty Butt, how are you feeling about the whole thing?
Like, are we talking about like the addiction thing, or
well, I mean, yeah, I mean,
motor control?
No, not necessarily. Just the VR culture as whole, as it develops, and of course what tropes may or may not come of it. That's pretty much what we've been talking about here.
Well, one of the tropes that I've seen is people need to be careful around people who are in VR, because currently people who are in VR don't know what their surroundings are. So somebody just walking through the play area might get smacked upside the head, and then there's a big lawsuit. Everybody gets sued, and then they have to shut down that establishment.
Well, yeah, I mean, I can see that, yeah.
Yeah. But with Ready Player One, they're a little bit more aware of their surroundings, and they don't have to move as much as you would in like regular VR.
Well, I mean, and I know you haven't seen the movie, and that's okay. But there are a certain what they call the play field, and there are multi-directional running pads, as well as even in some cases tethers if you want to like jump around in this particular play area. But the play areas are segmented and or separated enough to where people don't necessarily, they know where they can avoid. So that could be a thing in some cases. For people that can't afford a full setup like that. But most commonly, like if they did like a VR arcade, like Dan was talking about, that probably wouldn't be a thing. Robert, how about you, man?
If they did
Yeah, with me, the VR thing, I agree with everybody. It could be scary, but I honestly think it would take gaming to a whole nother level. Like, right now, it is a bit bumpy. They're still going through like the bumps with everything. But if we're really looking at it, I think they're making some progress with everything, and I think it would be good. But at the same time, how people got, I believe it was in Japan, people got so immersed in like World of Warcraft that they didn't eat and they didn't feed their baby, and like the kid died and things like that. So it could be scary, and that could be taken to a whole nother level. And with that, like they might start implementing different laws and things of that nature. So, but again, I think it'll be a great idea for gaming.
I agree entirely. And I'm glad a lot of people brought up some of the consequences of this, because we have seen it in gaming as a whole, and of course it's one of the things that's most commonly talked about when people start talking about the anti-game crowd. How they sit there and they say, well, I mean, you get so locked into a game it becomes an addiction, and you can't get up off the couch, and you forget to do this, that, and the other, and your house looks like crap, and you go into a gamer's house a lot of times, especially if they're a hardcore gamer, and I mean, it could use a little touching up. Kind of looking around my own house going, I need to move that, I need to fix that.
looking around my own house.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
Cleaning when the internet's out.
Yeah, the internet went down and the whole world was plunged into productivity. It's phenomenal. I think sometimes Comcast well, at least here in our local region, Comcast intentionally goes down so that way they can throw us into you guys need to get some work done here. We'll give you all a little bit of a break. There you go.
Yeah, I think so too. I agree. I think
it's a ploy.
An hour a day. Shut off the internet. Go sweep the floor.
So and that is a thing that comes up actually necessarily as a cultural aspect of this particular world that is Ready Player One. And if you go see the movie, you'll see that. I'm not going to give a whole lot away there. But let's talk about it from an economic standpoint. Because another big thing that's talked about in the movie is you see it in the trailer, so I'm really not giving anything away here. But this big quest that is presented as the main plot line of the story is supposed to give the person who completes it control of the oasis. And when you think about it in games in terms of as an economic thing, you're talking about the possibility of selling ad time. You're talking about microtransactions. You're talking about giving real money to play a video game that you're either already playing or paying for, unless you're playing a free-to-play game, which a lot of games are going, which is very cool. Keep that up, guys. I like that. But when you look at it from that standpoint, you can sit here and say that this is not only, an immersive escape for a lot of people. This could be a real-world application for major corporation or even an economic standpoint as being a center of control for that particular flow of money. So this time we're going to start with Dan on that aspect. What do you think, man?
Man, I really like what you said about that, because it's one of those things where in the storyline, everyone saw this as an opportunity to make as much money as possible. And I mean, the true gamers that were trying to win, they were trying to win because they were trying to make the Oasis better. They actually had the benefits of the Oasis and the company in mind, because they really liked the owner of the company who died. But here, there was another corporation that was literally just about, yo, we got to get this. As soon as we win this, we're going to own the company, and we're going to be rich, and everyone's going to be rich. We're going to own this huge thing. But I totally understand what you're saying, because in the real world, as soon as something like that happens and there is, millions and millions of people coming to something, like, great example alone, go look at Twitch's numbers the last couple of years. Went from nothing to something really quick, because there was some gamers that were getting following, and the ads started coming in, and the revenue went off. See, here with this situation, I see that if they could get this off of the ground, not only could all entertainment changed, but the way we do sports, the way we watch football. Like, the NFL could be gone, and there's going to be an NFL VR league. It's crazy to think about everything that would happen if we did have this type of Oasis. So I could see a lot of different people trying to get their hands in the cookie jar, where I almost agree with what the guy did in the movie, because there'd be a lot of people trying to make money off it. So do you make this a profitable thing for everybody, or do you have it be a free thing? That's the question in itself, man. And I don't know, because personally, as a consumer, I would want the corporations to almost take it over so I could get the options. But at the same time, it's like, then it's probably not going to be as fun, because there's going to be more pay to play and, more ads and everything.
And I'm glad you brought up Twitch in that particular aspect, because not only are we talking about from a corporate standpoint, we're also talking about from an individual standpoint. When you look at YouTube and Twitch streamers that became humongous and are now making money that normally we have to work 2 to 3 jobs to make, if that, are sitting here doing crazy numbers, crazy volume, and they're living their life based on the aspect of gaming. It's amazing to think of that necessarily as a part of the culture, but I'm not going to get too far into that. Daryl, how do you feel, man?
Well, I agree with most of the guys were saying. Like, I really think this would make a lot of money, but then again, that's where the danger comes in there. So you got to think about, like, right now. Last night I was playing GTA, and I was just playing a game, and some guys just kept trolling me, so I lost some money. But I didn't care, because it was fake money. But imagine putting your real money into this game, into this world. You put your real money into this world, now somebody kill you, now you're mad, you're angry. So what they're going to make you do? You're going to look up that person's IP address, and you want to go hurt that person because you're so mad, because this person just make you lose, thousands of dollars. So that's where I'll be worried at, because if this does, take off, of course, people are going to make money off of it. They're going to charge you real money for this, and you're going to start putting, so much time and effort into it, and it's going to make you that much more angry when someone does something that's trolling you. So, like I said, I think from a corporate standpoint, it's going to be good. It's going to make money. But then, I think it was Dan or Robert said, you got to put some laws in place. Now, you can't troll. It's a $50 fine for trolling. So now you get the law involved into your gaming. When the law get into your game, it's just bad. Well, the government, my bad. When the government gets involved with gaming, it's just bad. So I like it, and I don't like it at the same time.
And of course, we've covered that on the show before with pay to play or pay to win or microtransactions, the dreaded loot box, and yeah, it's there's a whole other conversation there, which we've had a few times. Rob, how you feeling, man?
Yeah, with that, I do feel like the government would definitely get involved if it were to go to like a major scale with like millions and millions of people. Like, getting endorsed in VR and things like that. So once it gains traction, you know how sneaky the government is. Like they're gonna try to get their hands on it any way that they can, and there's no telling if it could be like a population control thing. But that's a conspiracy thing. So
yeah, we're not gonna push the conspiracy theory there.
yeah. But yeah, say for instance you do put your money in there and you do get so immersed in it and you start losing, yeah, you're definitely going to be a little bit meaner about things. So I definitely agree with Daryl on that one.
Okay, that's cool. Spotty, how about you, man?
If we're talking about advertising, I don't mind advertising in a game as long as the advertisements don't interrupt gameplay. Like, if I'm playing a game and I'm in the middle of something and all of a sudden, bam, this big advertisement just flashes up in my face and I'm in the middle of combat and I get killed, I'm going to be upset about that.
Mm-hmm.
But if I'm playing a game and I just walk into a town and I see, like, advertisements on, like, billboards and stuff, I'm cool with that because I found some products on advertisements in various media that I would have never seen because I don't watch TV.
Okay, no, I can definitely see that. And, you can honestly say that, and because we did bring up Twitch and YouTube and ad revenue, how it brings money into a particular thing, you could see that, and necessarily walking around in a city or a town or whatever particular aspect you're playing in this particular MMO. You see like a billboard or you see a sign, or you like flyers here and there from a particular company.
Or you're listening to the in-game radio, and the in-game radio has a few like in-game radio advertisements for either in-game services or external people pushing their product.
Yeah, stuff like that.
And, it's like the studio makes money so that they can pay people to make the game a little bit better.
Okay. Instead of like running around in the battlefield and like 80% of your HUD is taken up by, on-screen ads and, hey, you're having issue here. Would you like to pay this amount of money to get this to help you out here?
Yeah, like Candy Crush does.
Yeah. Yeah. Candy Crush has got a serious issue with that.
No, I'm not salty at all about that.
So that's a few things
know what?
Yeah, go ahead.
I like what one mobile game does. Subway Surfing, I like how, if you watch an ad, they give you things. So, maybe they start giving us stuff to watch some ads. I wouldn't mind that.
Yeah, if you spend
I was doing that in a couple of games until my data, ran out.
Spend 30 seconds watching this ad, and then we'll see where we go from there. You might get something nice. Turns out to be just like a little simple thing, like a little, I don't know, a little skin for a weapon you have or something. You're like, really? That's what I get?
We knocked an hour off of your 38-hour spawn time.
And then the government comes in and takes it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, gankers, man. And that was brought up as well. So I do want to bring up that as kind of our last point. As far as cybercrime is concerned, let's take a look at that. So, we're talking about throwing real money into a situation like they do in Ready Player One. You talk about how that can be manipulated by individuals who, can steal IP addresses, can grief, and actually find you as a player. And, like they, doing Sword Art Online with Death Gun. Don't want to give too much away there if you haven't seen the series, but there is a kind of a assassination thing where he can, point a gun at someone and shoot at them in the game and they die in real life, which boggles the mind. That's not giving anything away. That's actually in the trailer for that one too. So I'm just saying. It's also extremely old by a few years. But so we're talking about cybercrime and how stuff like that can be stolen. So let's get a blanket statement from Daryl. Let's try to pitch it over to our guest panelists and see what they think on that, man.
Say that one more time because I got lost.
Yeah, sorry. So throw out a blanket statement on cybercrime, your opinion on how cybercrime would develop necessarily in a VR situation, and see what our guest panelists have to say about that.
Well, pretty much like what I was talking about earlier, because we talked about this on an earlier show that nowadays people like to cheat, and they don't want to play the game like it should be played. So as far as cheating goes, it's going to be players want to cheat. They're going to find some kind of mod or find some kind of hack. So how you feel about you playing fair and some guy comes in and cheats and takes all your hard-earned money. What you think about that, Spotty Butt?
I don't like it that if you make a game and you put real world money into it, and if your character dies, you'll lose all that real world money, because that's real life. That's your video game affecting your real life, and the video game should never affect what you do or what you have done in real life. Unless we're talking about addiction, and that's a whole different ballpark. Cybercrime, I would make it to where you can never punish a player for being the victim.
Mm-hmm.
Never punish the player for being the victim, because a troll is a troll. They're always going to troll. Just have like a respawn cooldown time or something.
Mm.
That's what I'd say on that. As far as actually enforcing cyber laws and fighting against cybercrime, I would say just hire some white collar hackers.
Yeah, I agree on that one too. I mean, to make a game good, okay, because like I say, you're gonna have these cheaters, okay. Just hire players to actually monitor. Like I was maybe let's just say if a game came out, you got 50 good servers for one for each state, I guess, and have a group of people monitoring those states. So I think that would work. What you think about it, Robert?
Yeah, I definitely agree on that. Like, have different hackers to actually go in and help out, because stealing somebody's real hard-earned money in a game, that would definitely break my heart, and I'd want to kill somebody. But of course,
Whoa.
with that being said, yeah,
that got dark.
I'm sorry about that, but yeah, like playing with somebody's hard-earned money, like with things like that, people would get very upset. So, yeah, just definitely have like hackers to come in and don't penalize like the person like, hey, you got hacked, so we're gonna punish you too. But definitely try to find a way to catch these hackers. But they're gonna have to search hard to find hackers like that, because I'm sure like in the future they're gonna make it so hard for people to hack into things like that, especially with VR.
Yeah, I mean, I feel the same way. I mean, like I go to work and I work hard for my money. So it's like
Yeah.
even now in the real world, if somebody just like I had lost my wallet like maybe like a month ago, and like I said, I wish just return my credit card, return my ID, so I won't have to spend my money. You just stole my money, and it was just my hard-earned money that I worked hard for. So it's just like now, even with these games, I mean, you work hard in these games. I mean, ask Dan how hard he worked on his NBA 2K character, how much time and effort it took him to do what he got to do. I mean, even Robert, we used to with the Monster Hunter World, you got to think about we take so much time and effort we put into this game. That's our hard-earned money, our hard-earned time. And to have someone just comes in and just use some type of mod, some type of cheat, it just gets you so angry and upset. So I definitely think they need to fix that, and I think they can, but it is like apparently be extra money for it. What do you think about it, Dan?
Dan.
Oh, my mic was off. I'm sorry, guys.
Dan!
I'm here. Okay. I don't know how it got turned off, but I'm here, dude. I was listening, laughing.
It's the hackers.
And,
It's the hackers
okay, I got you guys. I'm here. Okay, so I am. You might have to edit that out. I'm sorry.
No, I'm not at all. That's staying there.
I agree with what Rob said, and I'm glad Rob said something about I might have to kill somebody, because I'm with you, bro. I'd throw hands if I put some money into a game and I put some big money in. My guy's good, I'm ready. And if you take money from me because you're better, man, that's okay. But I have seen people get into fist fights over a $20 poker game, man, because someone was cheating. There's no way that you're gonna pop. And I mean, of course, I think it was Daryl said, these hackers, people that are stealing, most of them are smart and they do cover their tracks. but all it's going to take is one time for the game to get shut down. Someone dies over the game. It doesn't. It doesn't take too much for a game to get shut down these days. If someone, if there's bloodshed actually over it. So it's one of those things where I see where people are coming from, because we're here to have fun, and that's where if you're putting your hard-earned money into the game, that's where things can take a twist, because it's almost like you're gambling. It's not just like you're playing a game. It's like, man, you're almost at the casino, but with VR. So for you to do it, you have to do it within reason and a balance, I believe, because that would be it would not be good if it was just almost like a casino where you'd almost have to pay money to just play, but people do want a little bit of a risk or gamble sometimes. Like the way I see it in 2K, you can go to the Pro-Am and you can play people for coin, right? And obviously if you beat them, you can use that coin to buy stuff.
Dan, you're breaking up.
You guys hear me? You hear me now?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. So basically in 2K you can go to the Pro-Am and spend your own money to bet people. But when you're playing your normal games in the playground with your friends online, you don't have to spend money. So maybe if there's a feature where you can spend money when you want to, then that'll be okay, as long as no one can take advantage of you, like within taking your money without you playing or something like that, or cheating. So
Right.
That's how I feel about that, my friends.
There you go. So a lot of really good varied points about that particular topic, and I was glad to hear it. It got a little bit a little violent there a couple times.
Dude, we're throwing bows over 2K, bud.
I'm telling you, but that's a serious situation when you start talking about that. And, the amount of money that people put into these things is actually kind of scary at times. When you sit here and you think about, your bills and how much you spend on a monthly basis, and then a new expansion comes out, or a new set of Loot Crate boxes for, like, Overwatch comes out, and people are just throwing down, well, I'm going to put 40 on that because I want 50 loot boxes. I'm gonna do this, and I didn't get what I wanted, so here's another 40. You just spent $80 right there. Destiny, Destiny 1, Destiny 2, the Eververse issue with the loot boxes in that. When me and Spotty Butt actually were talking to a fellow clanmate. That's what they call them, as clans. We're not clansmen, I swear.
I spent $120 trying to get the Taken cosmetic skins for Destiny 1.
$120.
Some people got it in $5, but the dadgum helmet just refused to drop, and I spent so much money on that. And people say that it's a player problem, and I'm like, no, I don't gamble because I have this gambling addiction.
Mm-hmm. And there's that. If you're looking for a specific. Go ahead.
So imagine this, Spider, but you finally got that helmet that you spent so much money for, and then a hacker comes in and takes it from you. How would you feel?
I'd be going to the police.
Quickly. Because, we're talking about, $120 right there. If you do that in one sitting, that's my average utility bill payment, okay? That's my lights and water. Are you kidding me right now?
And you know what? That's something else I was thinking about. Okay, we can't go to the police, go to the police, but going to the police, that's getting the government involved in gaming, and that's what we don't want the government involved in gaming. But that might help, like if somebody hacks, hell, let them get locked up. I want them to do 10 years behind bars for cheating.
Here's the cybercrime penalty right here. I'm putting it up right there on the screen right now. So hello. So when everybody is watching this later, you can see that's the cybercrime penalty right there. And it's a serious deal, but hopefully stuff like that would probably be elevated or escalated, especially when we're talking about theft on a level that big, because people do spend big money on microtransactions. And for a lot of times, that's how a lot of these games get supported. We talked about Brawlhalla at one point in time, and how it actually is a game worth spending money on because it's a fun little game. But stuff like that these are all serious issues. These are all serious tropes that you of course will see if you go see Ready Player One, which of course we here at Gaming Nation strongly urge you to. Even for our panelists who haven't seen it, go see it today, tomorrow, but sometime soon, and have these questions in the back of your mind and be like, okay, so when I'm watching this and I'm seeing this, what's going on in the world and what kind of possibility can we see for the future of gaming, because it's always developing and it's always fantastic to see, and we're always going to cover it right here on Gaming Nation. I want to thank you all so much for joining us today. I want to thank our guest panelists, Rob, Spotty Butt. You guys were awesome today. Thank y'all so much for coming by. I want to, of course, thank our core panelists, Dan, Daryl, for always holding it down, and I, your host, who failed to introduce himself at the beginning, Clay from Tales of the Blade. But normally at this point in time, we're gonna we have our segment called Coming Up, but we're gonna forego that today simply to say, go see Ready Player One. We talked about it a little bit. We talked about some of the tropes you may see in the movie, and we tried to keep it as spoiler-free as possible. So we want to thank you guys for joining us. Daryl, where can we catch you up, man?
You can catch me on the Fandoms YouTube channel, Fandoms page, and the Gaming Nation YouTube channel and page.
That's right. Dan, how about you, man?
Yo, you guys can find me on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at the Fan Club. You can also find me online at the Gaming Nation page also.
There you go. Spotty Butt, plug yourself.
You can find me at Tales of the Blade at Facebook. Basically, wherever you see Clay, you'll probably see me.
Hey, look at that. I don't even have to announce myself. I just got a free plug. Woohoo! And Rob, where can we find you, my friend?
Yeah, you guys can find me probably on Fandoms Anonymous, chilling with Malcolm and Daryl.
And there you go. You just heard, of course, the name of our CEO plugged there and there as well, Malcolm from Fandoms Anonymous. And I don't even need to say it myself at this point because Spotty Butt did it for me. Appreciate that, brother. Saved me some airtime. But of course, if you didn't know who we are Fandoms Anonymous, FANDOMSANONYMOUS. We are all over social media. You can check us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, of course, and a whole other various slew of things. Come check us out on the YouTube page and, of course, the Facebook page for the groups for Gaming Nation and Fandoms Anonymous, where we have discussions every day. It's always a fantastic time. And as we like to say, if there is anything else, thanks for watching and have a great one.